Shalom Akim. First and foremost, call Allah Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, and of course, double honors once again go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who deserve double honors. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth all sincerity, trying to wake up the remaining hopeful elect. This is Naaman with the DC camp, and as you can see here, once again, this is a write-up of what a lot of us already know. I first heard of this, how many years ago? There's a family, a couple, the Davises in Philadelphia. They have a museum that they started up. And I was alerted to the fact of these incidents through them. He went on a trip down in Florida, and this Edomite just happened to, they were talking and the subject came up, and he let it be known that his father and his grandfather, this is what they did to, little so-called black children. Used them as bait. But let's go ahead with this story here, all right, by Lisa Yount. All right, and it says documentaries show another unusual side of history. Many historical series regarded alligator bait practices in North and Central Florida. Of course, as we're going to get into, this is not the only place where this happened. All right, the report said people used babies to lure alligators ashore. They believed the babies' dark skin color and cries attracted the creatures. This is just pure evil. All right. And the coward that these Edomites, these so-called white people are, it's just their nature to snatch babies from their parents and then use them in such a way, that's just low. All right. And you're going to have to pay for that. You see, that's the thing with so-called white people. They don't think they have to pay. They think they're above reproach, all right? That, they're top of the food chain, and they're the only ones that can mete out punishment. And that's the whole thing in a nutshell when you think about these so-called white people, all right? You keep hearing on, well, they're going to issue an apology for this and for that. But that's it. They think that's as far as it should go. But let you do something to one of them. Oh, no, we can't have that. A lot of people are seeing this play out over this Kanye West and Kyrie Irving thing. Whether they're in on it or not, people are like, okay, why is it like this with you? All right. And yet, something as small as, and then you're blowing it up to, it must be something, maybe it's something to what they're saying after all. And so they really fucked it up. But even with this, I didn't want to go in on that. But yeah, more and more people are like, you know what? Yeah, because a lot of, these white people are generations since the days that this happened, they're like, they want to sweep it under the rug. This is something that, but, they thought would never come up again. But with the onset of the internet, as someone, I think it was Jay Rockefeller, that was former senator of West Virginia, he said, the internet should never have been invented, But this is the Most High's move. It's like we always say, it's the Most High. He plays checkers when they're playing chess. These are things, and this is prophecy being fulfilled. But back to this, I didn't want to go off on a tangent. It says they believe, our children will make the best bait. Yeah, It says, what happened in the past, Florida had over 28 powerful firms supplying alligator meat and leather. As usual, trace the money. All right. It says a guy in Sanford near Orlando told his story to a researcher, and that's what I was telling you, the Davises. He said the uh, unpaid laborers who had babies, they would take the babies during the course of the day. Some would be infants, some would be a year old, he said, some would be toddlers. He said they would grab these children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in pens like little chicken coops. They'd be crying. What they were doing would help them to chum the waters. And then it has, this is a Washington Times headline on June 3rd, 1908. Baits alligators with pickaninnies. That's what they called us. All right. Zoo specimens coaxed to summer quarters by plump little infants. The New York Zoological Gardens zookeeper sent 2 children into an enclosure that housed more than 25 crocodiles and alligators. The children were chased by the hungry reptiles, entertaining zoo patrons while leading. So it was entertainment to these motherfuckers to see children. See, that's why when it says James 2:13, you know, that they're not, I'm talking about Edomites, they're not to expect mercy because what? They shewed no mercy. All right? Can any argue with that? Anyway, it goes on to say where they spent, I'll read it again. The children were chased by the hungry reptiles, entertaining zoo patrons while leading the alligators and crocodiles out of the reptile house, where they spent the winter, into a tank where they could be viewed during the summer. According to the newspaper article, 2 small children happened to drift through the reptile house. The zookeeper pressed them into service. He believed that alligators and crocodiles had an Epicurean fondness for them. These motherfuckers, man. They have got to go. There's another account of similar actions in 1923. This is like 15 years later. Time magazine reported that babies were being used for alligator bait in Chipley, Florida. The infants are allowed to play in the shallow water while expert men watch from concealment nearby. When a saurian, alligator, approaches this prey, he is shot. All right. This, I should say, is all the result, you know, of the curses. We have to, as a people, have to acknowledge that. This is all because of what we both did and did not do. And that we were under an agreement, a contract, known as a covenant, with the Most High. And we broke that covenant, and there are consequences, all right, for breach of contract. That's exactly what it is. And this is why we're going through these things. This is why the lowest of the low, all right, these Edomites and these other nations are over us, all right, as prophesied, what Moses told the Israelites in Deuteronomy in several chapters leading up to 28, all right. These things were going to happen to us. But it wasn't just Florida, as I said. So let's go. All right. Children were sometimes fed to hogs. It wasn't just alligators and crocodiles. All right. It wasn't just saurians. It was, man. Strange events occurred. Let's get some scriptures, all right, because these things only happen to us as a result of, as I said, with the curses. It's like, wow. Let's get, oh, man. Yeah, these are some of the curses here. I just happen to have this. I didn't, pull it up, but let's say, hey, blessings for obedience. Let's just go because, as I said, we were supposed to be that shining light for the other nations, but we kept wanting to be like the other nations, and that's a problem. Even to this day, a lot of Jake, they want to, hold hands with people that hate us. All right, not understanding because, a lot of Jakes are turned off by what they've been taught as religion, not knowing uh, any different because of how this is all set up. And what I mean by that is these preachers and whatever else you want to call them, pastors that are set up, are just by and large just trying to keep Jake tame. That's all it is. All right. They're under restrictions from the 501c3 charter. All right. And these preachers, pastors get paid, they're non-profit, for basically just not telling Jake the truth, just even if they know it, and that's, a big if. But you'd be surprised that a lot of them do, especially the ones that go to I'm going to say theological seminaries, their schools, and if they have to, because there's several levels to that. If you have to, there's a classic example of what I'm trying to explain. If you ever watched the Vernon Jordan story with, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar produced back in the 90s. James Earl Jones plays the title character, Vernon Jordan. And Vernon Jordan was the pastor that ran the church before Martin Luther King took over. All right, but he was pretty hardcore. But he had to study the Greek. He had to study the Hebrew. He had a doctorate. All right, in theology. So you would think after all that, you would have to at some point say, well, wait a minute. But that's a stretch. A lot of, I understand, but the Holy Spirit has to be working with you. But you got to understand, to a lot of Jakes, it's a hustle. All right. And that money coming through their hands, that's too much of a temptation. All right. Like I said, it's different levels. So on some level, you go and you just learn to put on a show and be basically a what do you call them? Motivational speaker. That's it. But a lot of people are leaving those whorehouses that they call churches, and for good reason. All right, because you never learn anything, just up there for song and dance and wear your Sunday best and eat abominations. Because again, you weren't taught any better. You just go there to sing and dance and hear people gossip. Goddamn shame, but Jake don't want to hear anything. But Jake is, by and large, comfortable in this place. All right, let's get into the curses that I mentioned earlier. And the heading here is blessings for obedience, and this is the first 14 verses of this chapter. Verse 1, and this is Moses talking to the Israelites now. He says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power. That's the Most High, that Lord there in all caps. That's the Most High. His name is Yahweh. All right. All right. You'll see right here. All right. Let me move my little mug. H3068. You see right here? Let's see if it'll pick up on, so I can highlight it here. There you go. Yahweh. Yahweh. All right, not Jehovah. All right. There's no V in the Hebrew. All right. Self-existent, and that's exactly what it means. The existent one, or eternal. All right. It says to thy power, which is, all right, the nation of Israel's only, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. It says that Deuteronomy 7:6, right? All right, we're supposed to be above all nations, all right? And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power. And it gives you examples. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. All right, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, which is our prodigy, our offspring, our children. All right, and the fruit of the ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. All right, let's skip down to 15. Remember I told you verse 14, these things would happen if we obeyed. This is the curses for disobedience, which is why we're going through what we're going through now. But it shall come to pass, verse 15, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store, we will not prosper. All right. I mean, it goes, 28, the Most High Yahweh shall smite thee with madness, look at our people, and blindness and astonishment of heart. Look at our people, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee, not Denmark Vesey, not Martin Luther King, not Nat Turner, no one. No one, in case you are wondering why, no matter how much schooling you get, none of that ever works. No matter how many slave revolts there were, nothing ever worked. This is why. Think of this as the, I had it just slipped my mind. The, what do you call it? Murphy's Law, all right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. This is what, this is the Murphy's Law for the Israelites, all right? This is what's going on. All right, so let's go into the other article. Children were sometimes fed to hogs. Strange events occurred in America's past. No, wicked and evil events. It is over 400 years since the documented arrival of listen to this wording, indentured workers. The children of these adults had odd responsibilities. CRT at its finest, right? Employers of indentured laborers used the children to bait animals. Oh, this they attracted the creatures so men could capture them for sale. I like how they sanitize this, right? In Florida, the practice mostly involved alligators, but in Louisiana, Alabama, and other states, it primarily included hogs and other wildlife. Events surrounding the past sometimes became stranger. Parents soon learned to keep their children close during the passing of these men, but sometimes it was unavoidable because parents owed money to their employers. Their handlers would use the children as collateral for the owed sums. Here is one such story. A young kid named Young Trammell was taken from the Alabama line and transported to Georgia, where he was made to work off a debt, according to a report filed in Montgomery, Alabama. The boy's father told a reporter that he would not be able to reclaim his son until he paid Benford the money he claimed he owed, as well as the supposed court expenses. If the parent's child's work effort did not pay off the debt, the kid faced a harsher consequence. It was costly to provide shelter and food for the children. As such, some ended up as feedings for livestock like hogs. And they stop it right there. See, a lot of this is coming out now, and these so-called Jews are on edge because people are waking up to, all right, the frauds that they are, pretending to be somebody else and doing all kinds of criminal acts on a worldwide scale. And then when somebody calls you out, discovers what you're all about, you claim anti-Semitism, and that word really doesn't exist, because that was not the name of that particular son of son of Noah, excuse me. And it's just, they have to keep themselves, how am I going to say this? Relevant. Hey, we're still, the professional victims, as I like to call them. We're still being persecuted, even though they're not. They own everything. They run the world. They make the money. All right. So and as others of their own people have come out, I'm thinking of one in particular, Benjamin Friedman, former Secretary of War, a diplomat, and he told you that they put themselves in certain situations so that they can say that they fulfill this prophecy when actually they don't. All right. But we do. All right. And therefore, what they've done, all right, has distracted, by and large, a lot of people from associating us with the prophecies in the Bible, if they were even able to pay attention, because everybody's focused on, the Holocaust, those Jews, and it's really sad that you would have to do that, but the scriptures say we will have war with Amalek from generation to generation, and this is who is ultimately behind it. All right, the lowest of the low of the Edomites, even his fellow Edomites don't like him. All right. This, at the end of the day, like Voltaire said, you know who has power over you. I'm paraphrasing. When, those people that you can't criticize. This is what's been going on. All right. And like 2 Corinthians 13:8 says, you can do nothing against the truth or for the truth. All right. All this is coming out now, as a result of suddenly the rich man speaks and everybody wants to hear it, even though he's, I'm talking about, in this case, I'm talking about Kanye and Kyrie Irving, because they want to say, we're Israelites. All of a sudden everybody wants to hear it, but we're been out there, Great Millstone, the apostles, for decades saying it, and everybody just fan their hand and, you guys are crazy, blah, 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 blah. The poor man's wisdom is despised, But this is all as a result. All these things like this that are happening to us, I just read to you why these things have happened and are continuing to happen. Good news is these curses that were on us are being transferred to our enemies. All right. It's coming down to the wire here. Um, things are kicking off. It's manufactured. Famine is, these things are picking up. Uh, you've got, in less than 2 weeks now, this Executive Order 14067 that was signed by the President last March. It goes into effect regarding the digital currency. This coming March, you're having this real ID that they say everybody has to have, all right? Even though motherfuckers have had ID for decades, but this new system they're trying to implement, all right? Why? Revelation 12:12 says he knows he hath but a short time. He sees the signs. He sees the chariots out in the heavens, all right? He sees these signs, the celestial events that are happening, all right? And he knows he has a short time, all right? So you're going to see old Mr. Charlie again that your grandparents and great-grandparents tried to warn you about, but that was in the past. Okay. You just remember that we try to tell you these things, all right? Hey, so with that, once again, these stories have come up again, and to add to that with, the alligator bait, it wasn't just alligators and crocodiles. Nope. And if they're admitting to this, like I say, this is very short. It's not doesn't go into great detail, neither did the first one. Unlike when you listen to the Davises from Philadelphia, he goes into it because he was talking to the guy and they told, it's some graphic shit in there. You can just imagine, use your imagination for once, So with that, hey, hope whoever views this was edified. Until the next video, hey, shalom.